I'm about to jump on a plane to Bali. I've sold everything that I own. I'm the happiest and healthiest I have ever been. Life has completely changed. I am living the unconventional way. But only 12 months ago, things were completely different. The real issue that's going on in most people's lives that I meet is disconnection from your heart. Disconnection from who you are and the way that you feel.
I'd been working on the business for a couple of years. I had all these things going on in life, ticking off my list.
I had a massive dream, like a really big vision of really what I wanted to create, but I really had no way of working out how to get to that, and I felt really stuck.
I'd come to work every day. One day I'd be up, one day I'd be down, and always thinking and worrying about the business and where to take it.
Dreaming all the time about what I wanted, and I'd sort of got to a place that I felt that that's all it was ever going to be, a dream. I realised I'm doing jobs that aren't to my potential just for cash flow and not my passion.
I was in a marriage that really wasn't serving me. I didn't know or want to know that. I think it was just a bit too hard to face.
I didn't really think about the journey I was on. I was just going from day to day and not getting involved in life, really.
I just remember wondering why I couldn't get out of that funk that I was in.
There was something wrong with how I was functioning that wasn't working in the business.
I was so busy trying to create my future that I wasn't actually enjoying where I was today, and it's now that counts.
I questioned the relationship with my husband. I questioned myself as a friend, as a mother, me as a business leader, as a coach. You know, is this business what I'm supposed to be doing? Should I just sell up and, maybe go become a general manager or a CEO somewhere and go back into the corporate world? And then I got, no, I didn't want that because I wanted balance. I wanted to, not work full time and spend time with my kids and travel and have a life. So it was almost like I'd woken up in this life that wasn't me.
Fear is extraordinarily disabling for most people.
I was in a very dark place. I could hardly get out of bed. I didn't want to get out of bed. Going to work was an absolute chore. I just felt like I wanted to hide myself away. I just became very reclusive. I didn't want to speak to anybody. I didn't want anybody to see how bad I'd really got.
When I was going through that low times, then I was isolating myself from the world. I wasn't really helping any people. I wasn't giving any value, and as a return, I wasn't actually making much money at that period. So it was a bit of a vicious cycle.
I was very aware that it was me, but there was almost an unwillingness to really look at it or to deal with it because it just seemed so hard.
I'm asking myself, why are my relationships fulfilling? Why don't I really feel love? Why is it that I'm giving out a lot, but yet, I'm not really receiving anything back? There were all these questions, but I didn't want to look at what was going on.
I'm working from home, trying to do a new venture by myself. In an environment where I've got the kids half the time. I'm out of my own family home. I'm confused. So I felt very alone. And that's probably when I hit the wall. I think I was okay for about 2 or 3 months. At least I thought I was okay. I was functioning. And then I hit the wall and hit it pretty hard.
My health had deteriorated to the worst it's ever been in my entire life. And being previously quite a healthy and fit person that's never had any other illnesses, that was something that I found really hard to understand. And I was thinking, was I ever going to get out of it, or was I just going to get worse and just fade away or suddenly die as well?
I think life would have just gone on, and I probably over time would have gotten sick and died, and it would have been over.
The urge to move was so great that I had to follow it. Would have been detrimental to me if I hadn't have.
In a society that is so living in high speed, how can we understand the fear and resolve it if we don't even take time to stop?
When it was time to really take that deep look at myself in the mirror, it was at first scary, uncomfortable, terrifying, but then it was also this entire weight was lifted off my shoulders.
Mia has this knack of being able to ask the right questions and dig deep, and then if you just give an answer to the words that come out, let me challenge you on that, you go, oh no, here it goes again. And it's in the challenging and the layering and the knocking back the layers that you actually get to the truth of what the core is.
To shift in our lives and make a complete change of our lives, we have to feel. We can't get stuck in the intellect of our head. It just does not work.
For me, my family was everything, and I felt like I had to risk everything. I felt that to make the hard call and actually deal with the issue, I'd be losing their love. I'd be creating an environment where my kids wouldn't be looked after, or that I wouldn't see my kids. A whole lot of fears come up. If it doesn't feel right inside and you're swimming against the tide, you're probably not doing the thing you're supposed to be doing.
You just need to be living your purpose and speaking your truth. And when you speak your truth, you open people's hearts and you create life-changing moments.
There were times before I participated in the project where I did go on a holiday and my mind wasn't there 100%. I was always thinking back at the business. Would it be all right? Does it need me? Are the team doing the right thing? The holiday I just had after the project, the mindset was totally different. There was a moment there, especially when I was on the beach with my daughter. I had the surfboard. I was learning to surf, and then I helped her get up as well. And she got a little wave and went in, and then it just dawned on me that this is what life is all about.
There's nothing more profound than seeing somebody believe in themselves again.
I've been able to forgive myself for my past failings and draw a line in the sand and go, okay, well, that was then, this is now.
For the first time, I feel like I don't have to pretend to be someone else. It's the first time where I feel like I can just be me.
The cost of not trusting myself has meant I've not lived the life I want to live. That's huge.
I learned there were people out there that really wanted to help me, that I didn't have to do everything on my own.
I can be a better father. I can actually help provide guidance and support that they need. So I'm very excited by that.
I feel like I've got a chance.
I've won a lot of business since doing the program, just by being myself and being true and not having to try and please anybody or anything like that.
I'm open to getting into a relationship, which is a huge shift for me, and exploring that, and that part of it is still like, oh, don't know. But part of it goes, you know what? Can't be that hard. Let's just go for it.
What matters to me is seeing my kids laugh, uncontrollable heart laughter as I'm tickling them, or, just sitting near the water, just snuggled into my husband, just being really present to the amazing people, because it's the stuff in life doesn't matter. It's the people that mean everything in your life.
I also realised that for me, money is of secondary importance. So that I was chasing a dream that was never going to fulfil. I think also when you go to the world and you go to different countries, you see people without money and they're just as happy as the people, if not happier than people with money. So money's got nothing to do with it.
I'm now having the opportunity, as I hope you do, to step into your free spirit and start to create what your life's really about. It's time. In my experience, I'm working with incredible people whose main challenges are very within themselves. So I'm stuck, I am depressed, I'm distracted, I don't make enough money. It's all I and it's all the ego. And we do get some incredible results with many people realising that they're not as stuck as they thought they were, or they need to resolve some belief issues or values, that type of work. But for some people, that moment, although profound, unless it was supported or challenged to the next level, possibly would fade away. And that's often one of the challenges with transformational work, is You know, is it a quick fix, or are we truly changing lives? I started to see patterns of behaviour, and that is, if we solely work on I, and we go out and we do all these development courses based on I, we go round and round in circles with I. Just as we resolve one issue, another issue appears. It was only when I decided to then integrate people into a group context, community, working with others, that they were able to drop the ego of I. But again, if we only work on the ego, mind, I, and we work on a small community around us, there's still another level to expand. So at the end of the project, one of the challenges I throw out there is for people to get out of Australia and go somewhere completely different, with a completely different contrast of wealth, somewhere where they can access and tap into different cultures and food, somewhere they can access and tap into different social environments and different sorts of challenges and issues and things they could judge. And here, in that place, when people leave their own environment, is where truth appears at another whole level. So here we are in Bangkok. Last night, the group of Empowered Experience crew turned up and we had the opportunity to connect. And today we're heading off to Cambodia. We have completely kicked in with a, how do I put it, very naked experience already. The trip hasn't just started here. I mean, it was the agreement many, many months ago to actually come on a trip like this, leave families and friends behind, and jobs and all types of businesses, to actually come here and completely indulge in a sense of a journey that is going to be far from easy. And I am extremely excited about working together and holding this space over the next 7 days as we travel through Cambodia and Thailand and see things that are far from what we really want to see in our lives, but that will wake us up and allow us to really get to the truth of not only who we are, but also the truth of what's happening in the world, and enable us to not only invest in ourselves, but invest in others and invest in the bigger global picture.
I've always wanted to make a big impact on the world, and I've been struggling and grappling with what does that mean for me and how am I going to make that next step of significance. And now I feel like I'm in a place where I can do that. I feel very, very centred and grounded, and so now it's about what is actually going on, and then now what can I actually do to help and contribute in a way that makes sense for me, where I can go and make my mark in the world.
I want to feel that drive, that emotion where it is about the bigger picture, that it is about other people and contributing on such a grand scale. And I've not felt that drive before, and I want to.
I kind of always wanted to help people, but I guess the order, and I'm still struggling with this, is that in my head I've got it that I need to make money to be able to do what I want to do, and I can't seem to get around that, or I just can't see how it works the other way.
For me, it's going to see what really happens and what I can do from there. Yeah.
As a society, there's a degree of a free card by not knowing, but once you know, then you know, and you can't unknow. And so what decisions will I make thereafter? And I guess my biggest fear is that the decisions I make going forward won't be necessarily powerful enough to make the impact that I would like to make.
Part of me feels like I may sort of put a wall up and just kind of go, I can't do anything to change this, so this is my way of dealing with it.
I'll be interested myself to find out what sort of effect it has on me and how I cope with it.
So actually a little bit nervous about what I might see and how I'm going to actually respond.
I'm concerned that I won't react, that it won't affect me.
We're all just being very open and just expressing how we feel about it.
I kind of think that I'll connect and keep connected because of some of the things that I've experienced. I think that it'll probably help me clear up a few things.
I want it to be something that really moves me, so that when I go home it's different.
It was an incredible gift to catch up with Tony Kerwin from Destiny Rescue, who made it possible for me to be able to take the Project Get Naked and Naked experience and make it a real experience for people. We caught up in the market, one of my favourite markets where we go and eat the most amazing food, and for him just to take the time out to share a little bit about how he lives the unconventional way, but also how he's really making an impact.
For me, I'd say the turning point was I had lunch with a good mate of mine up in Cairns, and he challenged me where I wanted to be by the time I was 30, and I did the same to him. And I went home from that lunch all excited and told my wife Jen that we're selling up and moving overseas. And
what was her response?
Well, as you'd expect, it wasn't good because it had never been something we'd ever spoken about. Dad thought it'd be a good idea for him and me to head over to Cambodia to oversee a container of medical supplies and some rice and so forth, and for me to see what it's really like in a third world nation and hopefully wake up to myself. And he told the story about a 4-year-old boy who had come up to get a bag of rice because I handed out rice, and he came back into the line and asked for another bag, and the guys giving it out recognised him and said, just one bag per person. And he said, but my mum hasn't eaten for 4 days. So some of the guys followed him back to his house, and it happened that his mum had been dead for 4 days, but he was too young, he didn't understand. So that just broke Jen's heart, and she figured there's no good excuses or reasons not to go. So she met me at the next day at the airport saying we're going. So
wow.
The first purpose of this travel is personal breakthrough and personal insight, and then understanding the place that we can have in the bigger picture. Of course, we work alongside Destiny Rescue as an organisation because they are so incredibly successful at doing amazing things for these young women. And the outcome often is that people that come on these journeys then move forward to be major contributors. The process we move through has got multiple layers. So we're understanding connection to ourselves. We're understanding how congruent and aligned we are to what's happening around us. We're understanding what level of commitment we have. We work together in collaborative teams, and of course, one of the greatest motivators I have through any of this work in creating the unconventional way is how many of us can be greater contributors in the future.
Getting naked is all about daring to look at who you are and how you are in certain situations or with certain people, to know and to get to know who you really are. But you've got to take the time. Like, I didn't take the time. I was too busy being busy to look internal, to really look and be prepared to be open and non-judgmental about what I see.
So we've arrived here in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, having a bit of a free night, just connecting with each other and really building the bond and the platform for the next couple of days. Over ice cream. We're eating ice cream. Tomorrow we've got a huge dance stall, and I'm really looking forward to giving loads of cuddles and love to the beautiful children in the daycare centre who are in the prevention program.
About 3-year-old? 2-year-old.
Yeah.
What's this one's name?
It's Compase.
Compase?
Yeah, amazing.
So we're here in Phnom Penh at the daycare centre. I'm here with JD from Destiny Rescue. Tell me a little bit about the age groups of the kids that come here and why they come to this centre.
Right, the daycare kids range from as young as 2 all the way up to 8 maybe. It just depends who's out there. So we'll take any kids in under 8. The reason why they're here is because if they weren't here, they'll be sitting at home in a slum village all day long doing nothing, which makes them a big target to potential traffickers who will literally come through and pick them up and take them with them.
And of course, there's so many beautiful little girls here, that are at massive risk.
I was really surprised to see how engaged the kids were with what their work they were doing and how committed the staff were to the children's learning. Yeah, and it didn't take long for the children to sort of warm up to us and start climbing all over us. Yeah, which is really, really nice to see.
Really awesome experience just to see the kids running around, playing games and with big smiles on their face. It's been really rewarding.
To see the carers loving them like they did like they're their own, it's just awesome. They do a great job here and
such a privilege to be here. Very grateful.
They're very happy, just like any other kid anywhere in the world. Just want to be loved and have a hug and play. A lot of rough and tumble, a lot of fun.
The kids were just so energetic and they were so happy to see us, and they're all over me. I'm like, okay, all right, just go with the flow. And you know what? That's what they've got to do. They've just got to go with the flow of life. So, and that's exactly what I did today. And it was just, their energy was infectious. It was just beautiful.
It's great to see that kids have got a safe place to be kids.
Sad to leave in a way, so to build connections so quickly, you know.
The group were blown away by the level in which these beautiful little children were connecting and accepting of them. And that really showed so many people that having money or resources or time has nothing to do with the ability to be happy. We were invited to go along to the Learning Centre and watch the girls perform a dance. It was a royal dance, it was only ever performed for royals. And here we were as a Western group coming through and they're performing it for us. I felt extremely moved when the girls came running up to me at the end of the dance, so proud. Being here and having that real connection, like the cuddles and stuff, but also just with the teachers coming up then and saying thank you. It was like, we're on the same team, it doesn't matter where we are in the world, and it's an overwhelming feeling to feel such openness and love from other people who've never met us before. The game really changed when we went to the slums. From being in such a happy, joyful, playful environment to then suddenly seeing where these children were living and sleeping at night time.
Okay, we've just been to the slums in Cambodia, and the ones we're at weren't as bad as some of them. And I just can't even express what I feel.
It gives us plenty to be grateful for in our own lives.
And just seeing how the people live with the animals and just food lying everywhere.
It's kind of hard to grasp that kids are forced to live here, and
you can see that people have still got hope, and there's still a lot of life in their humanity, but they're living in absolute squalor, which it just makes you feel like it's not acceptable.
But what surprised everybody most of all is the same happy kids came home to the slums. And these children are running around in the most filthy environment, so incredibly happy and connecting with us and excited. And I remember there was something up on one of the houses and it said, "We love our family." And I know that impacted the group significantly.
To see these kids running around with a smile on their face is like, it makes you sort of think what really makes me happy.
Horrible. Disgusted. Guilty.
One great lesson was that the group had was that they realised that they were unhappy in conditions that were like extraordinarily luxury compared with the slum. And yet they were moping around in their own life, not grateful for what they had, and certainly not at times even valuing their families.
I was exactly the same when I lived in Australia. I mean, you get caught up in your little world and our own big problems, but in in the big picture are actually quite small problems.
Yeah.
And we don't really appreciate how the majority of the world is living, and that's just day to day. So if I would challenge everybody and parents, bring your kids, because I mean that you're putting them on good foundation for the rest of their lives, to not just be thinking about themselves, but to be thinking about what good they can be doing for so many other people. So, I mean, you can come here and nothing will change. But if you allow it, if you let it touch your heart, it will change you.
We're here at the killing fields in Cambodia, and you know, I try really hard to live a life without judgment, and not make things wrong. And how can you not make this wrong? You know, I understand so much about what happens in the world, but you know, people killing their own people is just, it's wrong. You know, I feel judgment around it, and I think that's okay too. Yeah. It's like graves everywhere. There's, you know, mass graves of like 450 people buried in one spot.
In my lifetime, we can see here evidence of extreme genocide, and you wonder what else is happening in the world today, where it's still going on today, and how can that be?
There's actually cordoned off places of real bones, of real people, and
you don't really realise how big it is when you just hear about it on the news or people talking about it.
You think about war and you think about all that sort of thing, and it's like grandparents' generation, but this was like, yeah, I was alive when it was all going on, so yeah, it was pretty full on. To see the killing tree and what they did with the babies, knowing what they found with that was just awful.
I'm sitting right by what they call the killing tree, and this is where they grab the babies and they smash their heads against the tree to make sure that there won't be any future generations that basically will come back and seek revenge on this whole crazy killing experience that's happening here.
I just actually feel totally repulsed. Yeah. I think it was just some of the things like the children, how the children were killed and things like that. I don't really feel like I can talk about it.
I'm numb. One of the initial places that we go to in Thailand is a place called Patea. And personally, it's one of the most horrible places that I've ever been in the world because of the number of girls that are trafficked. It's like over 70,000 women.
Hey, I'm here in Patea. We're here on Walking Street, and we've got a really big reason for why we're being here. We're not here like many of the tourists to see the entire entertainment and nightlife. We're actually here for a very different reason, and that is to actually see inside and walk the steps of what it's like to really be one of these young girls who are basically trafficked into sex slavery here in Walking Street. There's many older girls here as well, but we're going to encounter potentially children as young as 6 years old who will be here, who have been trafficked and being brought here tonight for the pleasure of many of the men here that choose to buy these children. So it's going to be a very crazy evening. Everyone in the group goes through different experiences, but there's two major responses. One is complete disconnection to what's actually going on. So they see women after woman after woman, and gradually it becomes normal for them. And that's what happens at home as well. As a problem becomes, or something they see as challenging and hard, they actually become numb to it. Or the opposite is that they become very, very angry and very frustrated and very emotional. And that is them actually processing their own stuff and judgments around the way that people live.
We've seen a couple of young ones, which is a
bit disturbing. But I think it hasn't quite hit me yet.
I feel like picking the girls up and going, what are you doing? And the guys just, leave them alone, like, just go home.
There's a lot of girls, a lot of working girls, a lot more than what I probably imagined.
Not overwhelmed, I'm just surprised the uneasiness and how I'm judging everything.
The biggest thing for me is just the blank look in their eyes. They just stand there and just look like there's nothing home.
Down in Patea, and we went into a brothel, and I couldn't see any young girls, so I called the mama saying over and asked her for, have you got any young girls here at all? And she said, yeah, and told us to sit down, and she brought a young girl out and she made her sit on my knee. And straight away she went into the sales pitch. If you give me this much, you can do this to her. If you do this much, you can do this to her. And she was talking in Thai, and so the girl understood what was happening, and you could feel this kid just shaking, sitting on my lap, and she had tears rolling down her cheeks. And I just told the mama saying, we want to get to know the girls first, just have a bit of fun. So we just hung out there for maybe 2 or 3 hours. It was a karaoke place, so we sung songs and just made fools of ourselves. And we went back the next night, and I was probably 20 or 30 metres away from the entrance to the brothel, and this kid saw me, and she just made this run to me and gave me this big bear hug and took my hand and walked me in there, knowing that it was going to be safe for her to sit with me and sing songs or whatever.
You could see girls sitting at the front door with really long faces, and they were just going through the motions. And for me, just to watch the whole lifelessness of what these girls were experiencing really affected me quite deeply.
Couldn't help but to feel that the problem is just massive. It's just so big, and
I couldn't make anything different. I couldn't change anything, which is it's powerless. So, yeah, and that was really uncomfortable.
I think the thing that made me most angry was watching this probably 60-something old man just how he was handling some of the girls on the side that were just sitting down trying to be quiet. He was like picking them up and tossing them around and things like that, and that just made me really angry. Yeah.
I was frustrated because I wasn't being affected by it, and I felt I should be affected by it. Everybody else around me was being affected by it, but I wasn't affected by it.
It was frustration a bit, so it was like, this makes me sick. Mum makes me sick, all of it, and then just, I suppose, the helplessness of not really feeling you can do anything and just letting that go.
People will get stuck on the enormity of doing something, and that their little bit won't be enough.
I can relate to that. Like the stats for the children being trafficked every year is meant to be around 1.2 million new children every year, which is one every 26 seconds. And if I look at those size numbers, which I have done from time to time, I feel overwhelmed and feel like, I can't do anything to really change that. But I guess I'm in a real fortunate position of being someone who goes into these brothels and finding these kids, and I can see the difference I'm making in that one child.
Yes.
So if we change, even though the number is huge, if we change our focus from how big the problem is and bring it back to, well, I can have an effect in one child's life, because I believe we can all do that. Many of us can do a lot more than that, but if we bring it back to that one child, I think together we're going to do something huge.
It was really hard to not judge a whole range of things. The people, the Westerners, the people that were going there, the people who own the clubs. And this is going to sound a little bit weird, but I guess judging the girls in a way and feeling guilty for doing that.
One small thing that I can see is learning to forgive myself, because if they can forgive themselves after what they've been through, surely I can for things that seem really not that significant anymore.
We are so grateful to Destiny Rescue for allowing us to go inside the world of so many vulnerable children, to go into their facilities. Of course, we've been able to show you so much around the journey we've been on, but it's been very important to keep any footage of the girls that have been trafficked completely private, just for their safety and security. One of the greatest things that we believe is that we do not want to make a negative impact at all through our own journeys of self-discovery. We are absolutely about making a difference, and impacting and creating resources and support for these organisations, but it can never be at the expense of the children. Our final stage of our adventure was up in northern Thailand in Chiang Rai, and this is where the girls, once they are rescued out of the brothels, we are then moved up and given a job immediately. Often these girls are very new out of a brothel. The group were struggling with this a little bit because they'd seen these girls wearing almost nothing, like dancing on poles, and next you've got girls wearing t-shirts and shorts making jewellery. It didn't truly kick in the enormity of what we could do to make a difference until they had seen the contrast. So often when we're sitting at home and we hear about something that's happening in another country, you know, we can have empathy or we can have concern and want to make a difference, but it's not until we actually go over and see a child who's been sold for something like 50 Australian dollars and then later like laughing and playing like a normal child should that we can start to tap in the difference that we can make. But also it sends another message. What sort of level of forgiveness do we need to have in our lives in order to move forward? How easy is it for us to truly move from a state of being a victim of trauma to a state of being happy if we choose that to be so? But what moves and inspires you, keeps you going?
I think for me, it's being a dad. I've got 3, I think, the most gorgeous daughters in the world. I think about my girls being stuck in a situation like the girls that we're helping out. Everybody is different, but we've all got to find what moves us.
Don't get set in a way in the Western culture and think that is all there is. There's more to life. And I think, you know, there's a saying, you know, see home, but get outside and see the world. And you need to go out and see the world because there's a lot you can give. Whether you've got a training or no training, you can always give. And man, to be able to give and make a difference in a life here is so worthwhile.
I would challenge people to just do it, and then as you come across an obstacle, work your way around it or through it, because if you wait to get all your ducks in a row, you're never going to do anything.
You're not in first gear. Now, Mia, hold on and shush. Yeah! Don't go in the ditch. Oh my God, hold on! Oh, don't go through the mud, you're gonna get stuck. You're gonna get stuck!
One of the things I noticed was people very much talking about how they can go off and run a project to support an organisation like Destiny Rescue. But this really brought to mind that difference between, you know, individuality versus, you know, community. Because the energy behind a one person running a project is completely different to the energy behind an entire team or community running a project together and then having, you know, tangible outcomes and measurements as we go.
I had to get that it's okay to take my time to get where I want to go.
Just to live life more, experience life more, jettison some of the mundane stuff, you know, and help people more in the process. So.
It shows you that you've got an opportunity to move anywhere and do anything. It's, yeah, there's no limitations.
Really just take everything for granted. I think that's a big thing, and how more grateful we should be with what we've got and the freedom of choice that we've got to do whatever we wish to do.
Realising that I've been playing such a small game and on a level quite a selfish game has been about me and what I want to do.
It's given me insight into how much I actually need to really work on this and how much I need to, I guess, get to the bottom of the problem.
Come to realise, I guess, just as importantly is that, you know, what impact people can have when they all come together.
It's time. 100% what my mission is, creating more philanthropists in the world. That's clear. I didn't really know how to do that before. I was sort of an idea, but now I get it. I get what I need to do.
I generally used to look at people for what they could give me or what they could provide to me. If they had something that I saw of value, I would value them as a person. I think being here and just having some of the feelings that I've had have sort of changed that a bit. If I start by giving, maybe the right type of people will come back into my life.
I feel like I'm a part of a bigger family, a bigger world, and we're all working together to make a difference. And that is a lot more empowering than sitting at home trying to make my little dent on the world by myself. We're never going to know the true impact of stepping outside of ourselves into community and then having a global perspective. But what I can see is that a significant amount of people that come and expand out of their comfort zone will move forward to creating their unconventional way. Of course, with conformity and society's rules and family and influences around us, some people will return to a conventional life, but rarely will they return to a life that they knew before. The unconventional way is about redefining your life completely based on your own rules, your own philosophies, and your own heart's desire to be completely fulfilled in your lifetime.
Freedom gives you the capacity to genuinely change lives. Not only mine, not only the lives of my loved ones, but the lives of others.
The main focus for me will be creating opportunities everywhere for women.
I totally want to be able to bring passion into people's lives, however that might look.
Every single person on this planet can make such a profound difference in this world. We can all learn and grow.
I want to be a star for natural medicine and wellness. I want to actually take that into a lot of other countries with a strong education model.
Helping the rest of the world to be accepting of others, regardless of their relationship type, regardless of their sexuality or their sex.
A leader basically should inspire and support and love people through their difficulties and challenges.
I want you to meet some of my friends that are really living the unconventional way today, their way. And it's so fascinating to see how differently they live, the different values they live by, the stories and the missions that they're on this planet is truly inspirational.
Can you imagine if everyone was in their sovereign power? If everyone spoke authentically? If everyone only aligned to those people that wanted to align with them? Can you imagine how powerful we would be as human beings if we could see the unity as opposed to the division? If we could actually embrace the difference as being something that is new and something that's an opportunity for us as opposed to something to fear and to be pushed away? How cool would that be? You could see literally an end to war, an end to conflict, an end to greed, an end to all of these things that we know that are blights in our society. And you know what? It doesn't take everyone to change the world. It just takes you. It just takes you. And if we only do that as an individual, but we all do it, that means that we would have made a fundamental change and we would have left footprints in the sand to really show that we were truly here, but not just here. We were here and actually really making a difference.
Anything that we approach and decide to have a go at, it's always the rocking chair test.
Oh, yeah.
If when we're 90, sitting in our rocking chairs together,
I forgot that.
and thinking, are we going to regret, if we didn't have a go at that, are we going to regret that when we're sitting there in our rocking chairs? And if the answer is yes, then all right, we're
better
doing
do it. That's thanks to Liz. It scares me sometimes, some of that stuff. But I've got to say, there are certain things now that we talk about and go, far out am I going to be one happy bunny in that rocking chair looking back, going, man, I did that.
I'm speaking my truth, living my own unique adventure, the unconventional way. It's time to get naked.